Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. Stare Down greatness. It's here. The big game is upon us. We got 5 days until the Super Bowl is here and we get to watch it, which also brings a sad tear to my eye because that also means it's the off season. But we'll talk about that when it gets here because at this point, let's live in the moment. We got 5 days to soak up the Super Bowl. Got 5 days of time to kill until the Super Bowl. So with that being said, today we're going to go over a little bit of NFL news. I'm just going to talk about some of the things we missed. I genuinely going into it as of right now, I have no idea how long this is going to be. I assume it could either be average or probably going to be a little bit shorter today because we're just going to talk about NFL news and then give some of my final thoughts for tomorrow. We're talking about all NFL. That's what the Super Bowl is, buddy. We're talking all Super Bowl bets. I'm going to give like all my fun novelty props, player props, stuff I'm leaning towards, stuff I kind of like, where I lean to in the games. That's going to be all day tomorrow. Today, so I'm going to spend all day today pretty much talking about some of the other stuff. So tomorrow will be all Super Bowl focus as we try to prepare for Seattle, New England. Still kind of wild. Drake May is here. We got the NFL Award, which is also upcoming. I think that's Thursday, which would be awesome because I won't lie to you, I have some futures that I'm waiting to cash out. Like February 5th. Okay, yeah, so it's Thursday. Like that Mike Vrabel, Coach of the Year. Been sitting on that for a minute, boy, waiting for that to cash. And then we got Tyler Shuck, Rookie of the Year. We got a nice little hedge for Tetaroa, Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, I won't lie, though. I really want Shuck to win. Like, really could need it, but it seems like Tetaroa is going to be the one to win it. So, the hedge is going to pay off, but damn, would have been nice to get that big one. But let's go talking about my bets I'm waiting on, and let's hop into some news, because we can talk about bets tomorrow. Hall of Fame issued a statement about removing voters over the NFL rules. This came out like 5 days ago, and they just kind of talked about how they're going to make sure they uphold the standard, all that stuff, which kind of makes sense because we're going to talk about Robert Kraft to end off with the news, but it's interesting to say the least. Bo Nix says a broken ankle won't affect him in this offseason. Something else that came out, he said he didn't really like how Sean Payton was talking about his medical history and everything when he came out and said it, so that all of a sudden just became a really, really weird situation. And then they end up firing their offensive coordinator. They end up bringing Davis Webb. He is now, I about said Davis Mills. They now bring Davis Webb in as the OC, even though we all know Sean Payton's calling that offense. But I heard no idea how true this is, but I heard through the grapevines, like through some, I believe it's some show I was listening to. They were talking about how apparently Sean Payton and the Bo Nix relationship isn't the greatest. Like, it's not horrible, but could definitely be way better. And Davis Webb is kind of like the middleman between them two. And so after all the Sean Payton stuff has now come out and everything, you're kind of just looking at it like, and then Bo Nix came out and kind of was like, hey, what the hell, dude? Kind of look at it and all of a sudden it's like, that situation just became a real problem potentially. But now that they have Davis Mills, so yes, I knew I was going to do it because I heard somebody else do it today. I think it shout out to Fantasy Footballers. I think they did it on the show I was listening to of them. So I'm like, second I did that, I'm like, I'm going to screw that up. I just know it. And didn't even make it to Davis Webb's end. But Davis Webb, now that he's promoted, he's still like kind of the liaison between Bo Nix and Sean Payton. That's what I heard. So, like I said, this is just a situation to keep an eye on now because it's going to get really, really interesting, especially with the fact that, Sean Payton did say a lot in that, he said a lot in that press conference, and it was just kind of like, and he basically was kind of like, all right, I'm going to be open and honest before the reporters get this out, and it's just like, oh shit, okay, dude, I don't think the reporters were even going to talk about all of that. Broncos, let's see, we already talked about that. Josh Allen played apparently through a broken foot through most of the playoffs, which it's kind of crazy to think about. He also said not an ideal situation. I think it was did they say what it, I think it's metatarsal bone, I believe. Of course, this article doesn't actually say what part of his foot was broken, but I believe it was like a fifth metatarsal, something like that. It was a fifth something, honestly. I think I said it, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to double or triple down, but basically, yeah, he broke that bone in his foot, and he's been playing on it for a while. So, and he also came on the Pat McAfee show last week when they were talking to Joe Brady, and he said, like, if I needed to play, I would play now, but it is definitely really painful. So yeah, that goes to show just kind of a bit how much of a warrior he is. And I'm not gonna lie to you. That interview on the Pat McAfee show with Joe Brady, he won me over. I don't know if he's gonna be a successful head coach, but he won the interview for me. That dude seemed like an awesome dude. He seemed like a type of guy you'd want to play for. But now it's just a matter of like, okay, is he actually a good coach? Can he play call and be head coach? Because he pretty much came out and said that's what he's gonna do. So yeah, a lot of questions for the Bills moving on next season because they did get rid of Sean McDermott. It's been really, really good for them. But one of those situations seemed like time was going to be a factor. And then the whole Keon Coleman situation with them, Joe Brady coming out and saying the best thing for Keon Coleman is the fact that Joe Brady's there. I don't know if that's them just trying to have some positive PR or something, but he couldn't mean it. But they didn't really use him a lot last season. And then there was back and forth on who drafted him, who wanted somebody else. So that... Yeah, the Bills started the offseason off on really the wrong foot, but Josh Allen, on the mend is at least positive for them, and that's going to be interesting with the whole Keon Coleman situation. The Eagles are hiring Green Bay Packers quarterback coach Sean Mannion. Mannion? I don't know why I said that so weird. Mannion as their offensive coordinator. He's been the last 2 seasons with the Packers. He played quarterback from 2015 to 2023 in the NFL before this at this point, so really young guy, so... Curious to see if Nick Sirianni is going to be the OC or if this guy's actually going to get a call to plays like Petulo did. Yeah, a lot of questions with the Eagles going, especially with the AJ Brown. The AJ Brown things. I think that's one of the biggest questions for the Eagles this offseason. What are they going to do with AJ Brown? Because he was a really loud, squeaky wheel last season, and I'm not too sure. I mean, it's a lot of money to get rid of him, but I'm not too sure those two sides like each other a whole lot. But I don't know. That I could be totally wrong, but there just seems something really weird either in that locker room or just there's something going on that's just weird with Philadelphia. But if this is anything, kind of like what they did a couple years ago, is like miss the playoffs, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but it's like have a really bad year, go on a run, make the Super Bowl, they end up losing, but bad year, go on the run, win the Super Bowl. Now this year they have a bad year, doesn't mean they're going to end up going on a run within the next year or so. Yeah, we'll have to see. Titans he said he's going to call the plays after not doing so with the Jets. I don't think this would be too bad for him. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think Saul's a good coach, but I don't know if he's a good head coach. But yet again, he did head coach of the Jets, so... Yeah, that was pretty bad. But also the Titans are kind of a dumpster fire right now as well, so he is having a really, really tough job to try and turn around. But, hey... He might be able to do it. Like I said, he's a pretty good coach, but I don't know about head coach. We'll have to see. Atlanta Falcons are hiring Ian Cunningham as their new general manager. He served as Chicago Bears assistant GM for the last 4 years. He was briefly assistant director of players personnel. It's a GM hire, so honestly, no idea what this is going to do, but maybe it might be good for the... Maybe it'll be good for the Falcons. I mean, they have a... Yeah, they had a lot going on this season, so they're basically on a complete restart this year again, and I don't even know what they're going to do at quarterback. They're basically for sure going to release Kirk Cousins to make his money lower, but do they sign him back to a lower deal so he can start for them, or do they go back to Michael Penix? Do they draft somebody? Not the best year to draft quarterbacks compared to next year, but yeah, I don't know what they're going to do at this point. And so... Let's see, Brady. This is something about the Keon Coleman stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That whole Keon Coleman situation got really, really weird. So hopefully for the guy, he'll be able to figure it out and still be a good player because he has potential, but not the best look last year overall. Buffalo Bills. Joe Brady. He hired Pete Carmichael, I was trying to find his first name, as offensive coordinator. But as we know, Joe Brady's calling the play, so it's more of a title than an actual job per se. But he's definitely going to help with offensive play calling, but just not be calling the plays. The Vikings, Odofe Mensa has been fired as a GM. A lot came out this weekend about pretty much everyone butting heads. Pretty much it came down to, I think, basically. To sum it up very basically, I think it basically came down to he didn't want to keep Sam Darnold, so he lowballed. I mean, he wanted to move on and kind of go young with J.J. McCarthy. So, and then he lowballed Sam Darnold, kind of lowballed Daniel Jones. And then they said some of the drafting he did wasn't the best, but I don't know about that part fully. But overall, it basically sounds like he really messed up this QB situation. I mean, he just signed an extension. I think it was last year, but it was, yeah. He joined in 2022, May 2025, so not even a full year into the extension. They just got rid of him, but like I said, it sounds like it was really just a butting of heads and like, hey, we want to go this direction, but he wanted to go a different direction. And then you saw that they had a 14-3 team. Didn't keep Sam Darnold, and then that team just absolutely cratered this year. Apparently came out, Kevin O'Connell said that J.J. McCarthy wasn't ready to play, but Odafe Mensa was like, no, put him out there, which, let's be honest, that honestly sounds like the most NFL stuff ever. The coach is trying to tell you, hey, the guy's not ready, but the GM that is basically kind of putting his career on the line with the guy's like, no, get him out there. We needed him to play because my ass is on the line and I kind of pushed my way into getting this, so I want him out there now. Yeah, when you do stuff like that, sometimes it doesn't work out. It's just crazy how late in the process they did this at this point. So it really sounds like it was like stuff that's been boiling over, and like it's probably way more than just what I talked about. It probably goes back even farther than that, but this seems like a situation where it's like finally they just like had enough, and it's like, all right, we need to get rid of this guy and start moving on to a different direction. It sounds like Drake May is dealing with a bit of a shoulder issue, but I think he should be fine. He said he was good coming into the at the Super Bowl press conferences yesterday, or pressers, media day, whatever it's called. He said he should be fine, but, well, I don't know. I personally, for me, when it comes to betting, probably going to stay away from some Drake May passing props, but might take some rushing stuff, for sure. One thing I will say in the middle of this, so if you're watching this, you get a bit of a gem a day early. Drake May, to have the most rushing yards a game, I took it at plus 1,000. It's now dropped around the plus 650 range. I like it for just the fact that the Patriots defense is pretty solid, so if they're able to kind of shut down Kenneth Walker, who the Seattle Seahawks are going to want to limit his carries anyway. He's never been like a bell cow type of guy. So if they're able to limit his carries, kind of keep him contained in the run game, then there's a good chance that Drake May could end up with the most rushing yards, because there's games where Ramondre Stevenson, Trevion Henderson, like they only rush for like 30, 40 yards, and that's it. Drake May can rush for 50 on scrambles and stuff, so that's a little gem right there, Drake May. To have the most rush yards in the game. It's plus 1,000, like I said. It's one of my sprinkles that I'm taking for tomorrow. So like I said, I'm just trying to play that instead of the passing, because now with this injury and everything, like I'm going to play just some receiving yards with some other guys, and probably just going to stick away from his stats passing-wise. NFL salary cap is going to hit, rise to almost $306 million apparently this year. Apparently to fall between $301 and $305 million per Tom Pelissero, which 2025 salary cap is $279 million. It'll be the fifth consecutive season the cap rises after a slight dip. Basically, the COVID pandemic, it dipped from 192 to 182, and then since then it's been 208, 224, 255, 279. Now it's going to fall in the 301 to 305 range. I mean, you look at all the TV ratings, like the most watched stuff every year, it's 80, 90 NFL games and 10 other shows and stuff. Like NFL just dominates the ratings right now. It's a must watch thing. It's what people really want to see. It is. I mean, football's great. Let's be honest. It's great. So it only makes sense that the cap keep going up. But, man, some of these contracts are going to get absolutely insane here soon. Now, will they get up to NBA level money? We'll have to see. NFL to consider using review for player safety penalties missed by referees. Interesting. I mean, I'm not going to. I mean, obviously, you want to keep the players safe and everything, but just having another thing to review and look back on, and probably, if we're being honest, find a way to find the players, because this sounds like review for player safety penalties. Like, how many plays later is this going to be? Like, is this going to be on the spot? Is it going to be like a play or two later, like, hey, you heard him, give him a penalty here? Like, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting rule. It's going to be curious to see how they figure that out, especially with the NFL referee union. Their contract is up, I think, in May of this year, so that's going to be a really, really big negotiation, because there's a lot of people that want some, mainly, one of the biggest things is accountability. A lot of people want accountability from these refs, and for them to talk after games, or at least have one person talk and kind of explain, like, and like, it's just basically almost like a being a human thing. Like, just come up basically to the podium and be like, hey, this is the reason I called this is why we did this call. At the time, we thought that this happened when we saw this. Later, when we saw the review, we realized it was a different situation. But based on what we could see on the field, like, if they gave us something like that, I think 75% of people would be like, okay, that at least makes sense at the moment. Still wrong, still a bad call, but at least they're kind of doing that. But NFL refs don't want to do that. Apparently, you can't talk to them between like May and there's this big time big time period basically where you can't talk to them, which is also very just weird. A lot of weird stuff that's probably going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. As like I said, the refs contracts are up. The union contract's up this year, and last time we saw that or had it really big issues with the union contract was the Packers Seahawks catch game. So there could be some big shockwaves from this. There also could be some big changes from it. Ravens are hiring Bears. Declan Doyle's their offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator in 2025, and now he's going to do it as with Jesse Minter. So yeah, let's be honest. He was a play caller, but Ben Johnson was calling plays. So one of those things for another offensive mind. But he might actually get a call plays now with the Ravens instead of just helping with Ben Johnson and everything. The Packers announced extensions for LaFleur, Goodikins, and Vice President, Director of Football Operations, Russ Ball. It kind of makes sense the more you think about it, because especially if you look at the coaching market this year. Not the best market, not the best of candidates out there, especially when the couple good ones got scooped up almost instantly. So you might as well keep your guy that you know is pretty good, even if you would like to get better, because maybe down the line you can, but not worth it. One of those things where it's like the grass may not be greener on the other side, so let's just stick with our green grass, and then if it doesn't work out for another couple of years, then maybe we move on, which is probably what's going to be happening in their place. The Seahawks are going up for sale after the Super Bowl, which is a really, really weird time to sell them. So I kind of want to know what's going on fully. I'll admit I didn't read the full story. They've owned the Seahawks and the NBA's Trailblazers. Paul Allen's estate has owned it since his death in 2018. His sister Jody Allen is the executor of the trust. A spokesman for Paul Allen's estate denied the report Friday. We do not comment on rumors or speculation, and the team is not for sale. We've already said that. Will change at some point per Paul's wishes, but have no news to share. Yeah, I don't know if they're officially going up for sale or not, but interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on. It sounds like now that it's a late estate, and it sounds like they were going to sell it eventually per his wishes. That makes a little bit more sense, because I was about to say, you pick a really weird time to sell it when they're in the midst of a big Super Bowl and everything, because the only scary part about this is the Seahawks should be right there, and imagine if they lose this game, all of a sudden a new owner comes in, and he wants to change stuff up around and do some other stuff. Like this is another one of those things where there could be massive, massive shockwaves coming out from after this, so hey, another fun thing we're going to watch in the offseason, which is going to be a long one. The Seahawks GM wants pending free agent Kenneth Walker to come back next season. They probably are going to bring him back, especially since Charbonnet did tear his ACL. That probably was a big win for Kenneth Walker, as horrible as that is to say. But Charbonnet getting hurt is probably a big win for Kenneth staying in Seattle, because if not, I feel like there's a good chance he might have tested the free market anyway. But he still might test it a little bit, but with the injury, like I said, probably a good chance he comes back. Steelers are hiring the ex-Raiders DC, Patrick Graham, for their coordinator. He's joining Mike McCarthy's staff. Sounds like he's going to this is a really, really good hire, because for a long time the Steelers have kind of been like, hey, this is our defense we run, you don't change it. And this is a guy who is willing to run defenses for his players, and I think a lot of people have said he's done a lot with a little. So there's a chance for him, like, hey, maybe he can get some magic done with the Steelers. But Steelers, like I said, they're one of those teams who run the same stuff for forever. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's actually like a little bit of change to their defensive scheme, and we see some different looks for the Steelers, or if it's like his version, like I said, his version of the Steelers way, or if it's more of like the Steelers way, but he just finds different little tinks and changes in it. The Patriots DC, shout out to Terrell Williams, is cancer free, so he's going to go with the team and travel to watch the Super Bowl. He stepped away earlier in the season, which led to Zach Kerr being the inside linebacker coach, has been their defensive play card, which Zach Kerr, shout out to him. He's had an awesome season for having to step up and just take it. So, and it's also awesome here too. Williams is doing awesome with his health, but what a crazy butterfly effect for them, because he was apparently a constant presence still throughout his recovery at the facility, staying in touch with players, doing all that. So I wonder if he's going to take his job back as DC, or if this is now Zach Kerr's job and we just see him having a different role, him being Terrell Williams. Very, very fascinating. Jim Leonard's going to be the defensive coordinator for Joe Brady. And where did he go before? Denver Broncos, that's where it was. I couldn't remember. I don't know why I couldn't think of Denver Broncos. Let's see. ESPN is close to a deal for NFL Network when the rights to Red Zone. All I hope is if they get Red Zone, please leave Scott Hansen on it. I don't want to see that boy go anywhere. I love me some Scott Hansen. The dude rocks, and if he's gone, not going to be the same. Because no offense to Andrew Siciliano, I watched that Red Zone back when I was in college for like a year or two. It was not the same. Not the same at all. It was definitely cheaper to get that one based on some deals we could get and everything. But I'm not going to lie to you. I was pretty damn frustrated that I had to listen to Andrew Siciliano over Scott. Nothing, like I said, nothing against Andrew Siciliano. I just love Scott Hansen that much. So, yeah, having to listen to somebody else kind of like, yeah, this is not it. So, the Raiders are targeting Clint Kubiak as their next head coach. And pretty much sounds like after the Super Bowl, he's going there no matter what. So, they get their coach signed up. Mike LaFleur is going to the Arizona Cardinals. He was the offensive coordinator with Sean McVay, so he's one helping with the plays and everything. So, yeah, Mike, that means every head coach is pretty much accounted for going into next season. It's going to be a big year next year. We'll talk about a little bit more in the offseason, but teams like the Colts, they're going to be probably one of the teams that if it doesn't go well, their new GM, new head coach next year, they're down like there's a decent chance of that. There's going to be a lot of teams like that now after this upcoming, or going into offseason that have like big, kind of a weird point in the NFL where like some teams that were down are starting to come back up, or some teams that have been down, going back up, teams that are up, going down for a bit, and then some teams kind of steady, having a moment, then dipping really back down. And this next year seems like it's going to be a year where like some stuff like flips back the other way. Because like I said, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Seems like every 5 to 7 years, I think in the history books, or more, even I think it's 5 to 6. Like basically every 5 to 6 years, there's a really weird year in the NFL where certain team wins the Super Bowl. Like that usually doesn't win it. Like so this year it could be the Patriots, and then we'll just say it's the Seahawks. Say it's the Seahawks, and then you look the next 4 to 5 years, and it's the same like 3 or 4 teams, and maybe the Seahawks don't appear again. There's always those couple of years where you have that, but the Seahawks were really good this year, so maybe that isn't them. But like this year, for example, 67 fewer touchdowns were scored by wide receivers. 10 wide receivers had 8+ touchdowns this year. Last year was 17. Only 4 of those players. 10 wide receivers had 8+ touchdowns. Only 4 had double digits. So it's like the receiving game as a whole was down. The time possession thing with getting the ball at the 35. A lot of weird stuff that led into these changes. But to get back to the coaching, like I said, sounds like Raiders are basically locked in on Clint Kubiak. He's pretty much going to be their head coach. It sounds like he'll be there with Fernando Mendoza, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, which, that's going to be nice. They got a lot of other positions to fill, though. And then Michael LaFleur is joining the Cardinals, and they got a long way to go as well. The 49ers are bringing in Raheem Morris as a defensive coordinator, which, yet again, another thing for the 49ers where they go, hey, you just got fired as a head coach and you're a defensive coordinator? Come back home. Let's have you coach the defense for a year or two, and then you can go head coach again, which that's probably what's going to happen here. The Dolphins are hiring Sean Duggan as their defensive coordinator. He is joining Hafley's staff. NFL makes a multi-year deal to play regular season games in Spain. I think they're going to play games in Paris as well. So the overseas stuff seems like it's going to be sticking for a while. I think they even talked about games in Australia now coming here soon. So that's going to just get wild. They're playing football everywhere, which we love expanding the game and everything like that. But also wouldn't mind not having to wake up an extra bit earlier to go to the gym and all that stuff to be able to watch a 9:30 football game. Don't mind waiting until like 12 or 1, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world. But I will admit, there were some days this year where it's kind of you wake up and you're like, would be awesome if the game wasn't on in like an hour and a half. Sean McVay and Les Snead are signing multi-year extensions, so sounds like Sean McVay is not retiring just yet, like some people were wondering about. The Saints are going to play the first NFL game in Paris, so yep, they are playing in Paris. Shout out to the New Orleans Saints. That's gonna be an interesting one. When have they said? I don't think they've said. They haven't announced the date yet. Probably feels a little bit too early for that. Ravens are signing. Who is it? Anthony Weaver's their defensive coordinator. He is now moving over from the Dolphins. I think a lot of people are decently happy with the hire in Baltimore land. So Yeah, I think that's probably not going to be a bad move at all. I just don't know fully what to expect. We talked about Davis Webb and his promotion. NFL is apparently going to... Goodell currently came out and said NFL must reevaluate minority hiring approach. I do agree. I do agree with that, I would say, because honestly, it comes down to, you look at a lot of these, like, they'll do their interviewing process and everything, and then at the very end, you see them, like, one of the minority owners and their staff, they'll ask him about head coach and everything, and then they choose one of the guys they're going to look at. So they almost, I don't know. I mean, I don't agree that you should be forced to, like, look at a certain. It's weird. Like, you shouldn't be forced to hire somebody because of a certain thing, but I do agree with at least being like, hey, look at other. One of the things, like, just dumb. It's just dumb that this should even be a thing, but it's how it goes because there's a lot of older white owners. I'd say older white owners. So you see a lot of stuff like this. It's just not too shocking, which really, really sucks, because it should just be a thing where it's like, hey, skin color shouldn't matter, man. If he's good for the job, he's good for the job. Just take the. Yeah, it shouldn't even be a thing. It should, honestly. And, like, just shouldn't be a thing, honestly. Shouldn't even have to worry about this. Apparently, there's no formal talks with the union about adding an 18th NFL game. Not yet. At least that we know of, but not yet. The Browns are going to hire Switzer as an offensive coordinator, or Travis Switzer as an offensive coordinator, joining Todd Monken. Not sure exactly what's going on with the Jim Schwartz situation yet. I don't think more's come out. Clint Kubiak came out and said he's focused on the Super Bowl and not the Raiders coaching job, which makes sense because, I mean, the second Super Bowl's over and everything. It's like, hey, you can worry about all that later because they're waiting on you for sure. He's in a good spot. I think there was a couple teams that were definitely waiting on him, so he's in a great spot to be able to focus on what he wants to focus on. Giants are hiring Matt Nagy as an offensive coordinator. That's going to be interesting. Not sure exactly how I feel about it, not going to lie. I'm not the biggest fan of Matt Nagy, but I don't think he's one of the worst coaches we've ever seen, but not a big fan of him, so curious to how that's going to work out for them. Monken said he's excited to work with Shedeur Sanders, but the Browns' number one QB is to be determined. It sounds like, I mean, he came out with a little video and said, I wanted to draft you when you were in Baltimore, so it sounds like he's at least going to give him a chance, but especially with this year, how bad the quarterback draft class is, honestly. I don't know, because it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know your timetable if you're Todd Monken, because if you don't hurry up, there's a chance that you get ran out of town too, but I don't know. They might give him a little bit more of a leash now that he's a new head coach and everything, but they got to figure out that quarterback position, man. It's been so damn long for them. The final thing in news we'll talk about is Robert Kraft. He was not elected to the Hall of Fame. So yeah, not only did Bill Belichick not get in, Robert Kraft didn't get in the Hall of Fame either, apparently. We learned the official list Saturday, but some stuff's getting leaked out. Apparently, Kraft did not receive enough votes from the 50-person selection committee. He's been on the... Oh. I didn't realize he's been on it for this long. The 84-year-old has been on the Hall of Fame ballot for the past 14 years, dating back to 2013. He finished the semifinals last year. Damn! I won't lie. I totally spaced he was on the ballot for that damn long. I thought it was like only a 2-3 year thing, but kind of not too wild he didn't get in, but still weird. Yeah. Like the fact that Bill Belichick didn't get in, Robert Kraft still isn't in. You got to wonder, like, are they going to let Tom Brady get in on first ballot? You would think so, but if they do, even if they do, I think he deserves it. But even if they do, that noise is going to get loud for that. But I think that's where we're going to do it here. Final thoughts before we head into the Super Bowl. Talk tomorrow, and then just the Super Bowl this weekend. It's crazy another season's flew by just this fast. It's seriously, like, it's every year it happens. It still feels like it was just like, a month or two ago, I was on the golf course with my buddies. We were at his golf outing. I forget the names. I'm not going to, like, for who it was for. I think, forget exactly who it was for, which really, really bad. That's on me. I'll admit, that's on me. But that was in August. It feels like just yesterday we were at that. I'm watching the college game being like, yes, we won the Ireland game. Now we get another full week of college football, and then NFL is just going to begin. And now we're to the Super Bowl again. I mean, time truly just flies when you're having a lot of fun. I mean, it was just what? I'm trying to find the... Go back real quick. What episode was it? Like, NFL Week 1, we started around episode 279. We're on to episode 320. I mean, it's just, you just blink, 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 blink. Season's over and it flies by. And it happens every year. And every year it just gets crazier and crazier. That's already over. Because, yeah, after this week, I mean, it's pretty much, we got this beautiful game on Sunday. And then you'll look up there and you'll see the countdown to the off season again. And we just got to watch some March Madness, enjoy some summer, and then get there. But we aren't going to get too sad about it just yet. We still got 5 more days to enjoy. So like I said, tomorrow's going to be all my NFL bets, go over novelty props, go over player props, pick my side for the game, which I think I'm leaning Pats plus 4.5 right now. We gave out Drake May plus 1,000. Oh, I got it at plus 1,000. I think it's around like plus 650 now to have the most rushing yards in the game. Yeah, the rest of the bets we'll give out tomorrow should be a fun one. Sad it's the last one, but that also means we might get a great game Sunday. So I'll see everyone back in this feed on tomorrow. I'll see everyone back in this feed tomorrow.